What is up, Insaners, and welcome to another video of the Fantasy Premier League 2021-22 season. Today we'll be talking about the best free hit drafts for the blank game week 30. Why and who should use the free hit chip this week. We'll deep dive into the best and worst case possibilities. Now guys, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure that you hit the like button. You can also consider subscribing if you're new around here. Great, with that, let's start with why you should free hit in game week 30. Now guys, there could be multiple reasons in terms of why you want to use your free hit chip in game week 30. Now the first one is the very simple reason that you don't have enough players for the blank game week 30. Now how many players are enough? That's the golden question for this week, guys. I think if you have 6 players, maybe even slightly more, let's say 7 to 8 players, somewhere between the 6 to 8 mark, I think you don't have to play your free hit chip this week. I think you should be safe there. I personally feel the average number of players playing this week for all managers should be between 8 to 9. So if you can get to that number even by taking a hit, I think you should be absolutely fine. Now in case guys, if you have a lot of players from the likes of Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Liverpool and Southampton, and if you don't have, let's say, enough players, let's say if you have about 4 to 5 players, maybe even lesser, then I think free hit chip makes a lot of sense this week. Another very important thing to consider this week is how many chips do you have available this week. So for example, if you have 2 free hits available, then using the chip in game week 30 looks pretty decent. Still, if you don't want to use your chip in game week 30, you could have better opportunities in a double game week 33 or even a double game week 36. Now guys, in case if you only have one free hit available, I think it makes more sense to save it for a later time. But in case if your squad is in a very bad shape and if it needs fixing, then I think you'll have to play a free hit this week. Now to be honest, the advantages are not that much of playing the free hit this week. The advantage would be that you could get a good playing 11 that a lot of other players might not be able to field this week. But for that, you'll probably have to depend on a few results going your way. Let's say you might be able to get to a Tottenham triple up in attack, but if Tottenham don't do well, then I think guys you would be struggling this particular week. Now in case if you also have your wildcard available and you have both the free hits available, then I think 30 should be okay. Nevertheless guys, there's no right or wrong reason of playing the free hit chip this week, and in case if your team really needs the chip, then definitely go for it. Now let's get into the first free hit draft for game week 30. Now guys, this draft is quite well spread around different players playing for different teams. Again, one way of using your free hit chip this week could be going very heavy on one particular team or maybe let's say a couple of teams. But the risk with that strategy is that if in case the fixtures don't go your way, then you would really end up struggling. So we've not gone for that particular strategy. We've tried to diversify our funds into different teams, into different players, and that's the reason we have 2 different goalkeepers from different teams. We have Sa as the number 1 goalkeeper, and we also have Ramsdale, who's also a decent keeper option this week. Sa is facing Leeds, again, who could score. On the other hand, Ramsdale is facing a Villa attack, who have the potential to score against the Arsenal defense, but in general, the Arsenal defense has kept a lot of clean sheets, and Ramsdale in particular has made a lot of saves, so I think this could be a decent move. Now to be honest, money is not a huge problem for this particular week because we don't have a lot of premium options to go for, and that's why we can go for 2 heavy goalkeepers in this particular draft. When it comes to our defense guys, we've also spread the cash around multiple teams, around different players, and we'll talk about them one by one. We've gone for an Arsenal double up in Ben White. Now, money is not really a problem here, so you can probably upgrade it to a Gabriel, maybe even a Tierney. But I think White, with his bonus point potential, with the way he plays, the amount of tackles that he makes, the key passes that he plays, plus he also has the ability to get an assist by playing that long ball, I think White is a decent option in this defense. In terms of other defenders, we have Cody, who's pretty nailed, who also has the goal scoring ability for the Wolves teams guys. He can score from a free kick, he can score from a set piece, he's shown that in the past as well, but I think he's a really good option. He's probably the most nailed any Wolves defender can get for your team, and I think he's the best possible option out there. Coming to our third defender, and we have Matty Cash guys. I think there was a huge point swing in his favor as opposed to what Digne owners kind of face guys. I was one of them. Hugely disappointing Digne was, and now he's injured as well, but I think Cash is still a really good option to go for. Yes, he's facing an Arsenal defense that could be tricky, that might not mean a lot of points for him, and you might just end up benching him in your 11, but I think Cash is still a very good option going forward. He's been in great form for the Villa team. He's also had a few attacking returns as well, plus clean sheets for Villa means that he could easily score big this week. Our fourth defender is Matt Doherty, guys. Again, not really convinced with what Spurs are doing defensively. I mean, they're all over the place. A couple of games they keep a clean sheet, and then they're probably so weak against a weaker opposition. So it's really hard to kind of call the Tottenham team right now. Nevertheless, Doherty is still the most attacking wingback option in that Tottenham team, guys. And I think if you really have to back a Tottenham defender, Doherty is definitely the one. Now, the fifth defender is a cheap option. You might not end up playing that particular option. That's Thomas from Leicester City, guys. Leicester in particular haven't really looked that great defensively. They've conceded the most number of goals from corners and set pieces. And I think, guys, that is where the likes of Eriksen and Tony, they could come in really handy. In any case, you want to fill up your defense with 5 players, and you might not end up playing this particular option, but I think Thomas is pretty much nailed. He's definitely going to play 90 minutes this particular week. I think that might not be the worst option possible. So overall, guys, if you want to play, you can easily play a back 3. You can probably back one of White or Cash for the clean sheet. I think Cody and Doherty look really good, but one of White and Cash can play. You can possibly even play a back 4 with all White, Cody, Cash and Doherty in play. In terms of the keeper, I think Ramsdale is a better option. He gives a lot of save points. He makes a lot of saves as well. And Arsenal generally concede a fair few amount of chances, fair few amount of shots as well. So I think Ramsdale could be the pick here. Now coming to midfield, and we have Saka in the midfield, guys. He's the bang-on standout option for Arsenal. Yes, guys, he didn't do that well in the first game of Game Week 29. But I think in general, he's a really good option. He's probably the best possible option in terms of the Arsenal attackers. And I think if you really have to select one, you definitely go Saka. In terms of other options, we've gone for Harvey Barnes from Leicester, who's a nailed option. I like the look of Maddison as well from an FPL perspective, guys, but Maddison is just not that nailed. You never know, Maddison might not even start the game. With Barnes, at least we get that security of the start. He has definitely more goal threat than the likes of Maddison. And I think if playing against Brentford, who are not the greatest defense in the league, I think Barnes could still end up doing really well. Guys, with the likes of Jamie Vardy out, I think Barnes could do really well as a runner for the Leicester team, who have looked decent in attack, to be very honest. And if I really have to back one Leicester attacker, it should definitely be Barnes. Then we have two more cheaper options in Rafinha and the mighty Eriksen, guys. Rafinha is a decent option to go for. I mean, he's not been that great, to be very fair. I think in general he can do well. Even against Norwich, yes, he did have an XG of over 2 goals, over 2.0, but he didn't deliver as much, guys. But there's a chance that he can do well in this particular game week. Yes, the Wolves defense have been generally very tight, but I think Rafinha still has the potential to do well even against a tighter defense. He's the standout player for Leeds United, guys, and if Leeds are going to do anything in attack, it definitely has to go through Rafinha. The fourth pick, which is Eriksen, I think he's a very great differential option this week, guys. I don't think so. A lot of people in general would have Eriksen, and being on a free hit, guys, that gives you an advantage. You can go for Eriksen. He's a great differential. He's on set pieces for Brentford, and I think he can do really well, guys. Again, as I said, nobody's probably going to go for him, so you can really gain some decent points from the likes of Eriksen, who would be, I think, doing really well against a weak Leicester defense. They generally concede a lot of goals from set pieces. I think this is where Eriksen can really flourish. The only premium option and the most expensive player that we have in our midfield is Son, guys. Of course, you can still double up with the likes of Kulusevski and Son, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But I think Son on a free hit is a definite must, guys. Yes, West Ham still don't concede a lot of goals. I mean, they were really good against Liverpool as well. But I think in general, Son could do well against West Ham. Yes, his numbers have slightly gone down. He's blanked also in a couple of games now. But in general, I think if you are on a free hit, you would like to double up at least on the Kane and Son combo. Quickly coming to our attack, guys, we have Tony, Kane and Jimenez. I think this is going to be a standard front three. If you are on a free hit, maybe even if you are doing regular moves, regular transfers, I think this is a popular combination that you're probably going to see this week. A lot of managers have already transferred in Tony for the likes of Dennis, King, even Broha for that matter, who's getting benched now for a few games. But in general, I think Tony could be a decent option. He's sprung into form. He's on penalties as well. He's scoring a lot. I think he's probably scored about 5 goals in the last 2 games, something like that. But I think in general, he's a decent option to go for. Fixtures going forward also okay, so if you're making a regular transfer, that is also fine. But this is a free hit team, guys, and on a free hit, Tony is an absolute must among your forward line. Then we have Kane, who's also the captaincy option, who's also the prime captaincy option this week, guys. He's been absolutely brilliant for Tottenham. He's on penalties as well. He's shooting a lot. He's scoring goals as well. He looks in form. Yes, Tottenham are kind of difficult to gauge right now in terms of what they're going to do. But I think Harry Kane is the standout Tottenham option at the moment. Third option is Jimenez, guys. And he's done okay, to be fair, guys. In general, again, against Leeds, they might not be that tight. Yes, Jesse Marsh has made the Leeds defense a little bit tighter. But you never know. Wolves might just spring a surprise for all of us. And if you're on a free hit, guys, you probably won't go wrong with the Jimenez here. Now, this draft has a 7.2, that's a whopping 7.2 million in the bank, guys. It's just that there are not a lot of premium options to kind of go for. You might still end up doing something with the money, guys. And let's talk about an alternate draft here. Now, in terms of the alternate draft, guys, the major change that you would see here is that we've not gone for a double up in the Arsenal defense. Rather, we've gone for a double up in the Arsenal attack here, guys. We've not gone for Ramsdale because we've gone for a Gabriel. We've upgraded a White to a Gabriel here. We've upgraded Cody to Size. Again, who's also as nailed as probably Cody at the moment. Could also possess some goal threat. I think Size as well as Cody both are really, really good options. Cash retains his place from the first draft, guys. As well as Doherty and Thomas. That's the back five. That's the defense for this draft as well, guys. In terms of attack, we have Saka, we have Barnes. Rafinha retains his place as well as Son. And guys, we have Coutinho now in place of Christian Eriksen. Let's say if you're not very confident of a double up in the Brentford attack and you probably don't want to take that chance, don't want to take that risk, Coutinho is probably the more nailed option. He's probably the more secure option as well. He's shown us in the past that he can score goals, he can provide assists, he could also spring in bonus points as well. So there's a lot of potential. Yes, the Arsenal defense probably going to be tight, so it's going to be tricky for Coutinho. But I still feel if you are willing to go a bit safer and if you're probably just not trying to take a lot of risk here, you could easily go for Coutinho. In terms of the attack as well, guys, we've retained Tony and Kane, which I think look like a must-have for whatever draft you're kind of making for your free hit team. Now, among the third option, we've gone a bit different here. We've not gone for Jimenez and we've gone for Lacazette. Could be a great differential as well. I mean, we've seen that he's on penalties. He's also an option, guys, who has a lot of creativity. He creates a lot of chances. He makes up a lot of the link-up play for Arsenal. And I think there's a good potential haul for Lacazette in this game week. Now, guys, even in spite of the upgrades that we've done here, there's still a 3.7 million budget available for us. I mean, I don't see any more changes here. I mean, you can, of course, go for a Kulusevski over a Rafinha, maybe over a Barnes, maybe over a Coutinho. But I think in general, backing one team and one team only for majority of your players might not be the ideal play here. In the end, guys, I would like to say that the free hit chip is very team dependent and there's no right or wrong way to play it. If you feel that a free hit chip is better for your team at this stage for this particular week, whether you have one or two available, you just go for it and you just don't think further. Yes, Game Week 33 with the recently announced fixtures and the recently announced doubles as well, that could be a bit more fruitful. But if your team really needs it, guys, I think you should definitely go for it. So that'll be all from my side, guys. I hope I was able to give you some clarity in terms of a free hit team if you are using a chip in Game Week 30. Do smash that like button if you enjoyed today's video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Now we'll be back with a strategy guide video plus our team selection for Game Week 30. There'll also be a deadline stream for Game Week 30 on Friday this time, guys. The deadline is on Friday, so do look out for that. Till then, keep tinkering with your teams and I'll see you insaners next time.